Perjangers. Enjoy the show.
We talked briefly last night about what I do realize is a very strange anime. And we are starting the inaugural podcast of the M&M podcast. I am Matthew Bucarell, my co-host, Matthew Kennedy. We are taking this time to actually, review some of our favorite shows in anime. And today, I wanted to start off with a new one that just got done this fresh, I guess it would have been like fall season, coming off of the fall season here. And it's, of course, based off of a manga, graphic novel, but it's Dead Demons Destruction. And the brief over synopsis that you get here is, as the world is threatened by the sudden appearance of a mysterious alien mothership, best friends Koyama Kadode and Nakagawa Oran carry on about their high school life, but as they grow up, they face existential questions, learning adulthood's complexities, and that true threat may not be from above. That's what that hooked me into it. I was like, all right, let's see what it is. And it is very much a story about these two friends, Otan and Kadode, and where they lie in this multiversal story. That they're not shying away from the multiversal side of this, even from the beginning. First couple episodes, and they have episode 0. First couple episodes, you're like, what is going on here? But as you get into the main story, Kadode's dad is a manga writer. Or editor. Yeah, editor. So he's working with this artist, and they're like, we're going to drop him. But then August 31st happens, and aliens invade. So didn't turn out well for Kadode's dad, because he wakes up 8 years later when he found out that one of these alien invaders took over his body for 8 years and then left him a message. Yo, sorry I snatched your body, bro. But I was helping these two little girls survive. Like, yeah, what about my daughter? Probably dead. You'll be fine. And
Let me tell you. I asked me to watch this anime, and I'm always down. I'm always down to watching an anime, especially if it's something that I wouldn't readily have put on by myself.
Mm-hmm.
If you asked me to watch this anime, I said, yeah, cool, I'll watch it. I'm going to find out I had already started it. Quickly realized why I didn't finish it. About 2 episodes in.
Yeah.
Oh, this shit don't make no sense.
I know. And Steins Gate, the first season of that, is the same way. You have to watch and see the story unfold with these kind of time travel, even, multiversal, paradoxical kind of stories. But once you grasp that, oh, okay, they're just going off of different world lines, essentially.
Well, I called Matt because he said, how do you feel about the anime? I said, well, he said, okay, that's enough right there. I said, no, because I ain't going to get everything I feel about this anime. Like, save it for the podcast. Don't worry. I got more for the podcast. Don't worry. Okay. I think it's a very slow burn.
Yeah.
Anime.
It is.
Right?
By the end, it gets crazy.
By the end, it gets crazy. But you have to make it to the end.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is making it to the end.
You have to be a story masochist like myself to where I see the premise and I'm like, no, there's something here.
About episode 6, I said, lucky I'm doing this for the podcast, because I was ready to turn it off. It just didn't. And the biggest thing wasn't not that the story wasn't holding my attention. The story was holding my attention, but it was like they would set you up because you think something exciting was going to happen, and then there was more dialogue.
Yeah.
And they were back like, oh shit, it's about to more dialogue.
Yeah.
Like, so the ups and downs and letdowns, I think, did more than anything to deter me. But I will tell you, I finished it today.
Yeah.
It's a really good anime.
I'm telling you, dude.
Like, um,
it is a slow burn.
about 11 is where it really starts to pick up.
Yes.
I would say about episode 11 is where it really starts to pick up.
Yeah. Those last
And
6
and
episodes are
you're
the
not even
best.
for the action. You're in it for like, whoa, what's about to happen?
Yeah.
Or who's about to turn on who? Like, so and I'm pleasantly surprised that I gave it the full shot.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I really loved is that one storyline where Cadode just goes completely psychopath with the old little Doctor Who screwdriver, and she's just like, "You gotta die, you gotta die, you gotta die, you gotta die," and she is just being a complete psychopath.
And then let me tell you something: the little alien that they was housing, he's and he said it the best. He was like, "Your species thrives on his word judgment."
Mm-hmm.
Because y'all start handing out judgment to what you see fit.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, he was saying, "Are you really any better than the villains that you were trying to stop?"
Exactly.
Because what makes a person bad? People make mistakes all the time. That don't make them a bad person.
Right.
If you're running around handing out judgment based off of mistakes, you're worse than the villains.
Yes. There's a lot of moral complexity to this story than when you first start watching it. To where that's the first real one that they really start tweaking with Kadode's character, and you're like, wow, no, it's very easy how on another world line that this girl could be twisted enough to become like a dark vigilante in her mind. And then turning out that, oh, did you cause that train derailment? Maybe.
It doesn't matter if you were doing it for the right thing. Did you cause it? Because it's still wrong at the end of the day. And that was the thing. Like, it don't matter why you did it.
It's still a derailed train.
Still did wrong.
Yeah.
So, and then you were just basically going around like, who's the worst person you know? Who's the worst person you know? And the show didn't show this if she was offing everybody that she asked, but I would assume she was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I would assume after she asked him, like, who's the worst person you know, she offed them because to her, it doesn't matter if there's somebody worse than you, you're still a bad person.
Yeah. There was that real strict judgment in the beginning, which kind of that's what I liked about that main storyline that you follow all the way to the end, because it's very much of Anton trying to save Kadode. She already saw this horrible thing happen. They already showed this alien that good human beings do exist, and now you have what I love is how they start to highlight human beings in their natural, habitat when a new threat becomes evident. They get technology. They don't care where it comes from as long as they can protect themselves. We got attacked by aliens. August 31st was horrible. The aliens are among us. Then you see the citizens, the military hunting these aliens that honestly they're kind of cute looking.
Harmless.
Yeah. And you just see them like bang, 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 bang.
And this was very multi-layered, right?
Mm-hmm.
It even dealt with language barriers.
Yes.
Is it because you perceive these people dangerous because you don't understand what they're saying?
Yeah.
So that was a big one too.
And
like,
it sounds demonic because they're like speaking backwards.
Right. And just because you don't know what they're saying, but then you come to find out that they were here before we was even here.
That was the nice
They
thing.
just came back to make sure the planet was inhabitable again.
Hey, can we live here again? No, not yet.
Again, next thing you know, we getting pummeled. Like, what the fuck? I just came back to make sure my fucking crops was growing.
And then they get that one. It's like a bad copy from that robot from Terminator. To just mow them all down.
Yeah, it almost looked like a T2.
Yeah, it was so wild. You were just like, wow.
And I'm up here looking at it like, why don't they just take a second? But it also played on fear.
Yeah.
You scared of the unknown in which you don't recognize or don't know. So it really did play on fear because they were just making all these decisions based off of fear. There was no logical decision that they made. Everything was based off of fear and a what if.
Mm-hmm. And then they had their puppet government, and where, oh no, you're going to say what we want you to say, Prime Minister.
And then when he didn't say what they wanted him to say, he said, "Ain't no words. We'll just deep fake it."
Oh yeah, we'll just have a deep fake. We already have it ready. And you see him cut.
What do you need it for? He said, "We really don't." Like
that's the thing. We don't.
Around his face, like don't overshoot your fucking hand, like.
Oh yeah,
because we really don't need you.
And then they left him.
Then they left his ass.
Yeah, they're like, bye. That shadow government, man. And then the U.S. coming into play. And how it's brilliant how the end episodes come into play in this. Because, yeah, the U.S. is going to try to send spies in. They're going to try to get the key to your, the virtual key to your AI. They're going to try to control it. And, you know, little did they know that this kid gets thrown a Harry Potter invisibility blanket. And he's just offing people. And like completely slaughtering them video game style of all these aliens.
And when you think about these shows that we watch in anime, most of the time the main protagonist or two main protagonists, they're no older than 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
These are high school kids.
Yeah.
Making life important decisions.
Yeah. Across the globe.
But you guys show in America where they're still like, you're like, I have my own place. I had to live by myself. Like,
I have my own place that I live to go to middle school.
Right. I had to go to this university. I'm completely away from my family. Like, I live on my own. I got to get a job. Like, they're just so much more. And I think that's so hard why sometimes we watch these shows, I forget that they're kids.
Yes. You forget they're kids because they're just like, oh, they're 16.
Right. In such adult worlds. Like when you think about it, Kadode and Unta, they were in middle school when all this started.
Yeah.
And they call it university over there, but it's a high school.
Yeah. It's high school, and then you go on to college. And
they were only getting, they might have only been, I think they said junior year.
Yeah.
We were only in 11th grade.
Yeah.
So what are you in 11th grade? 16, 17 maybe? 17 max in 11th grade.
That makes that relationship that Kadode have very suspect.
Very weird.
Very pedophilic, even for you guys over in Japan. I'm just saying, this girl was how old? What?
Yeah, the shit was there. I told you too, that was one of the biggest things that threw me off about the show. I was like,
I know, you got to really look past that pedophilic nature sometimes that anime has. And you're just like,
you will be uncomfortable as shit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
If you're a good human being, that's going to make you uncomfortable. I was watching. Like, I don't know, man, what the fuck Matt got me up here watching.
I know, but.
Like, he trolled the shit out of me. He trolled me.
They just randomly add stuff like this. The Japanese people have been adding in trans characters into anime since like what, the 80s, 90s.
Yes. Let me tell you something. That don't bother me.
I don't care. Does the character have a logical progression?
Right.
Do they have a good story?
What bothered me was that borderline pedophilia.
The pedophilia always really does bother me. Just like Initial D. The guy had this prostitute like call girlfriend, and it was like this older man in a Mercedes that picked her up, and you're just like, what are you guys doing, man? I don't know.
Let me tell you something. When I tell you it teetered the line, I'm talking one swift wind would have blew it to the right.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The left. Like,
yeah, that was it.
Like at any moment, they would have said anything slightly more than what they said would have pushed it over the line. I mean, like they really like
they start off. She jokes about it being like, "What if I told them you forced me to do this?" He was like, "Don't do that. Don't even joke about that. I love my job."
My job. He said, most importantly, I could lose my job. And again,
my job.
This is my job. Like.
Swear, that's that police song. Don't stand so close to me.
There's another comment they made in it that threw me off. Oh, she was like, right after she graduated or right before she graduated, she was like, only 2 more years before I'm not your little girl fantasy no more, some shit like that. I'm like, the fuck am I watching?
Yeah, I know. And then that gets to the future and she's still dating him. I'm like, yo.
Yeah, she's still dating him. And I'm like,
I'm not saying the whole thing, you know, couldn't have
the
gone
only
through a rewrite.
The only thing, and I'm not even saying it make it right, but maybe a little bit better. The only thing I can see is that she had this fantasy playing out in her head, and it wasn't really happening in the real world. She was more like a role model or influence.
Yeah.
But in her head, because she was younger, had this romantic relationship with him.
Yes.
Now, if that's the case,
yes,
I can see that. If not, oh, that shit fucked up.
Because you look at what they did. He invited her over to look at the psychology books.
Right.
A normal teacher would. They'd be like, "Here, most people. I mean, I don't know. It's a different culture, you know. But most people would be like, "Oh, I'll bring you in some books that I have." And
most people, when they do stuff like that, like that pedophilia shit's like the non-norm. But most people do got good hearts, and they're just genuine. Like, hey, you want these books? Come grab them. Like,
yeah, that's fine. You know, it's expanding out people's minds and stuff. So not all bad if you look at it from a different perspective, like a lot of radiation.
I couldn't. I don't know. It's just. I don't know. I just couldn't do it. It's just something about it. Just the whole dynamic was thrown. And let me tell you something. The show was cool. The little kids with their little love interest, that was cool because it's kids liking kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they didn't take that no way to. They to me they made normal kids.
Yeah. Yeah, they made it real. Like, these aren't just normal kids trying to have a normal life. When a big life event like a mothership of an alien craft just came in and killed your dad. Mind you, she's just leaving and her mom is there. And
beginning of this podcast. Spoiler alerts. We tell you the whole show.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of spoiler alerts in here. But the thing I really like about it is by the end, you have this guy Obito. And you find out he's not an alien. He's not really human. He's this other thing. He does survive.
And that's why they made him that character, because he can see where both sides are coming from.
He's the medium in this. And him coming through to save the day, even Anton going through with the plastic gun and saying that she's going to stop him. That she knows he's going to do the sacrifice play.
Right.
Even though it was too late, he was able to stop poison spread and create a new world line. That's where it would be interesting to see where it goes in the future, because they can still play off of all the things and tropes that they have done. Anton is a very interesting character because she's a quirky character. She's weird. You know what I mean? She says weird, odd things.
Yeah, I feel like she's only weird because of her friends.
Yeah.
Like, she's only weird because of
Kadode. Yeah.
Kadode, yes. And I feel like she stays weird to keep Kadode level.
Yes. The friend counteracts the ridiculousness of the other one.
Remember, her memories got unlocked, so she was able to see what happened in that alternate universe and why she came to this one. I think she keeps that quirkiness up, not to lose her friend again.
Yes. Just like when Kadode's dad, Nobu, tells Kadode, "Hey, have you met that girl Anton in your school yet? Maybe you should talk to her. You never know. They may change your life."
They were already trying to press her towards. Remember, he said, she was like, "I'm gonna go back and change the past," and then remember, the little guy was like, "We don't mess with that because we feel like once it's done, it's done. There's no need to go back and change it. These are the events that happen because of X and Y factor, Z, and this is our reality now."
Yeah, but that's the beauty about their machine. You just create another reality. And that's the awesome part about this anime is to where if it does go a second season, because first season, for those of you that don't know,
He said too, even though you create that second reality, now you set off a different chain of events. So you might have saved everybody over here,
oh yeah, the other people are still fucked.
but the other people are still fucked.
Yeah, very much.
Are you really changing anything? Like you're going to do all this for one person? Is that one person? And that's what I took away from it is that one person's life? Does that one person's life have enough significance to actually make a butterfly effect?
Yes. Because when you look at Anton, she's involved in that AI, Fukushima project with the robot and the happy end timeline. They had this happy life, no aliens. Anton is making fun of Kadode at the end of saying, "Oh my God, there's a UFO." Like, there's a lot there in this to where if they did take it for a second season, I would watch it again.
And I seen what you were talking about with the recall for the beach.
Yes. Little things like that set up.
Yeah.
And then because there's always a beach trip. Why was this beach trip so important? Because these friends, this was the last trip where everything was still normal.
Yep.
And everybody was there. They had the time of their lives. And then after that, that's when the world goes to crap for every one of their timelines. Most of all of their timelines.
One. Yeah. It was a good show. I'm not going to lie.
The finger coming down was really fucking trippy. And
the finger was fire.
Because then you see the father and all the fingers, and you're like, oh my God, that makes sense. It's this person resetting. And that's how, man, it's brilliantly done. It's an expertly done sci-fi, I will say that. Because it mixes in that slice of life as well as, aliens and the prejudice that comes with a bunch of aliens who think they're here to invade and make this their home when really it was just their main planet's way of reducing the population. Like, you're going here to die. We already saw that. Like, bye.
Right. And did you see when he was on the roof? When he was on the roof helping that little alien and the face glass bust open, you saw it was another person?
Yes. Dude, there's so many really awesome moments like that in here.
Yeah, they were just smaller people.
Yeah.
And they were wearing, and you realize that they were wearing the helmets to stay alive, not to cover. Like, that's not their faces. They have humans underneath. They just talk different.
I like how they had, like, the trinkets. Like, some would, of course, wear panties on their heads or pots and pans.
Make them different.
To make them different, to be individuals, and how, like, each of them did have a different personality. And when you see the alien side in this and you see the adversity that they're going through, it's probably, just about as crappy, if not worse, than their home planet because of overpopulation's a bitch. And that, especially when you're like, no, we used to live here. We were just checking back. And then it was too late to stop the reactor.
Yes.
That fact alone.
It was really well done. And like I said, about the sixth episode and I was ready to turn it off. And then it kind of grabs you.
That was the moment after episode 6. I had nothing else to watch. And then there were like a couple episodes of Dead there. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give you another shot. And then I followed it all the way through to the end. That's where it just started to pick up. If I could give them any notes for like a season 2, it would be don't have such a slow start.
Oh, right.
Especially when you're looking at a season 2 of a show. Now you want to start expanding and answering questions at the same time because who are these other aliens?
Yep.
There's the invaders, then there's this other presence. Who are they? How is this world line changed with the guy with the weird horizontal or vertical slanted eyes? Very, very weird.
My biggest question is, does Unta have any powers? because he kept calling her a shifter. He's a shifter. She's a shifter. But it's got to entail something more than her just being able to come back through the time.
I would like to see like a shifting through world lines. Like she has the ability to zzz and go through. I mean, that's the beauty about it being a manga is if there's like a beefy manga, like sometimes you get they pick up a manga, but it's not like doesn't have a lot of history with it. It's brand new manga, and then you get that Full Metal Alchemist effect. It's where you got Brotherhood, which is the one people love, and then Full Metal Alchemist, which is like almost the same to a point, and then it just goes way different.
Yeah, Brotherhood is my shit.
But that's just like if George R.R. Martin ever finishes Game of Thrones, wins winner, you know, and stop taking on new projects where you have to create more universes, just finish the book. Right. He said in an interview, he was like, you know, I really wish. Once they were asking him one thing he would wish, and he was like, I wish my book was done. But all the HBO shows and stuff, it just takes away from it. Like, right. I get that, dude. There's only so much time in the day, and I want you to finish your book too, because you already said it's going to be better than the show. Because that book
better than the show because they can go into more detail.
It's fantastic that the High Towers weren't actually mentioned until we got into House of Dragon. Like the High Towers were a huge part of the books in the original Game of Thrones.
I'm starting to fall off from Game of Thrones. I'm not gonna lie.
And in the books, the Stark mom, she comes back from the dead. Shit is fucking wild in the books.
Yeah, and I feel like that was one of them things where they rushed the show.
Yeah, well, they put it in the hands of people who essentially said, I think in one interview that it was essentially like a really expensive film school.
And you know what's crazy? I think that's why. Don't get me wrong, every anime out there is not good, but
right.
I do find myself liking more animes than shows.
Oh yeah,
because they're adaptation from their books. Animated are damn near identical.
Mm-hmm.
It's really they took the book pages and just animated the book page.
Favorite one to mention to point that out is Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone is a fantastic anime. Fantastic anime. And I started reading it I started watching the anime first season, and I was like, okay, I got to see what happens next. So I went through the manga, and it was fantastic. I love that book so much. It is that's one of my favorite anime. When it comes back on, I'm gonna watch it again. It's such a great.
I just started reading manga, and Chainsaw Man did that for me.
Okay, I love Chainsaw Man.
I was so intrigued on who fucking Maki was, and they were like,
I still have to read that. I bought the first volume at
how it ends?
A con.
I said, "Oh no, I gotta go buy the books. I gotta go figure it out." Like,
dude, I've been going to Ollie's and I've been getting comics, and I'm going through that. I might as well start getting manga too. There was an app that I found. It was like a free manga, translated English manga app.
See, I can't do.
It was so good.
I can't do. I tried to do digital books and stuff like that. I still need physical pages to turn.
Don't get me wrong. I love having a book in my hand because there's just something about, like, I had this bookmark. One is one of Frank's cards, and the other one I got from these Sasquatch podcasters, and they gave me this bookmark, and I was like, this is fantastic. I'd use it to mark off where I'm at in all these comics I read that I get from Ollie.
Right. Yeah, you can't do that on tablets.
No, I mean, it's close out the app. Oh yeah, that's where I was. Now, the one thing I do like about like Comixology is the guided comic view, because it pops up. It's, animated to a certain point to where the text will pop up. You'll read things in the proper order. You don't have to know, all right, I know how the panels go. I know it goes from left to right here. And then not necessarily page per page. I know how to read the word bubbles. That's where it's a good intro for people wanting to read comics, especially because it's like, I think it's under like $10, under $10 a month. I think it's like $7 or $6. And then you have access to all the Marvel and DC comics Dark Horse, a bunch of indies. There's a bunch of stuff on there that you can go through and read. The guided comic view is the only way to do it if you especially don't know. Like I'm saying, that's how I learned. Oh, wow, I was reading that completely wrong. Now this comic makes sense to me because I know how to read the word bubbles. But also, a lot of people, what I find, especially comic fans, they'll just go to YouTube and they'll watch the videos on it, which I do love those videos that go through and review the comic storyline. See, okay, I get it. What is it? World War Hulk. And you can go through and no word bubbles. They'll just have like the art and he'll just do a voiceover description of what happened in the storyline. So there's that stuff too. There's a lot of ways in digital mediums that can get people attached, especially if you're interested in a weird anime like this to where the two main protagonists they're not necessarily stereotypical, They're both quirky in their own way and weird, but so are all the characters. The art style is something that we haven't touched on. Because the art style is very different on how they draw their characters. Some of it is very traditional when you look at Obito, when you look at some of the Anton and Kadode's friends, their faces are drawn weird. You got the people with the butt mouth, and you're like, what is going on with your butt face? Like, I'm not being rude. It's drawn like a literal butt face.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
Yeah, that's 1980s style.
Okay.
So, but I like the anime style a lot.
Yeah.
I like that and then they did use a little bit of CGI.
But it's done well.
Because it's not when I tell you it's not a lot. I think the one part it was like showing like the ripples in the mothership.
Yeah.
Like the metal move, like or transform, and it was done in CGI.
The actual stuff that is like, all right, this is going to be too much for us to animate, but we can use CGI.
Right, because it wasn't a significant part of the show, but it was a dope part of the show. Like it was cool to incorporate us looking at the mothership transform.
Yes. Now, a lot of times they'll just use CGI if they want to have a lot of characters on screen for like a battle. For some kind of a battle or something like that, they'll just use CGI for mobs of insects or whatever have you. Like they'll do that on even
the part where all the part where all the invaders were falling out the sky.
Yes,
that was all hand drawn. It was copy and pasted, but it was all hand drawn.
Oh yeah, all hand drawn. I mean, and I was mentioning this on a previous podcast I did. I can't remember which one in the network, but when you look at those old anime and all that detailed backdrop of like cityscapes and all that stuff, that's hand drawn.
Yeah.
Even though now, yes, it is hand drawn. They may be using a digital pad and pen, but it's still a person drawing this, sketching it out.
I would.
But there's traditional people like Frank Percy that say, no, I'm paper and pencil and pen guy. Scan it in later, but traditionalists. There are traditionalists out there.
What would you give this anime overall?
You know what? I think 5 is a good number system to go based off of.
Okay, out of 5.
Out of 5.
How many M's are we giving it?
I'd give it 3.5 M's.
Okay, that's about where I was at.
It's about 3.5 M's because it has enough going on for it late in the season that it's worth a friend saying, no, look, just listen to me. Just watch it all the way through. Now, this is something where I just told you this is a newer one. It's just got done like a couple months, like I think a couple weeks ago, actually. When we originally talked about this. And I knew from the last episode, I was like, all right, that was good. Rewatching it, I forgot about a lot of those early episodes. And the reason it took me so long to watch it. But the point is that it's an anime that there's not a lot of CGI, like we're saying. There's a lot of interesting artwork, art style that comes all the way back into like the 80s style, as well as moving forward. So that's where I would kind of peg it there because there are slow points in the beginning. A slow start is rough, especially for a new anime. A lot of the new animes that I like, that I've seen, like So I'm a Spider, So What? That time I got reincarnated as a slime. You know, that time I got reincarnated as a slime keeps powerhousing out every episode.
Solo Leveling did a really good job. Just
yes,
you were like, okay, this is this person into it.
right in there. Boom. There are so many good animes out there that are new, and they have a Kaiju number 8. Name one slow part to that. You can't. It's amazing. And those are just a couple of the 5 out of 5s that I would list out. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. You know, I mean, even some older ones, like you look at Akira, I would call that a 5 out of 5 M's. You know, I feel that those are some good baselines that we can give. Like, all right, well, what would a 1 be? I'm sure we'll find it.
What was that other one? It just ended. Why can't I remember the name of it? The fight scenes in this one was, I'm talking bar fucking none. 10 out of 20 were these fight scenes.
Right.
It was a ninja one. I know you've seen it.
Was it on Crunchyroll or Netflix?
Konami.
Okay, so that's Crunchyroll.
It was damn, I'm really drawing a blank right now. I can see the fight scenes. His wife, he was a ninja, she was a ninja. They weren't supposed to fall in love, but they did, so they ran. They came in, they killed his wife and the kids, thought they killed him. He escaped from the hospital, went back to murder everybody. This shit was fire.
I know I can't remember the name. I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
you know exactly which one I'm talking about. Right?
Exactly which one you're talking about. Yeah.
And the black cop is like a little sidekick. The other chick did the computers.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that one. I did.
You remember the name of it though?
I can't remember the name of it. I do remember that one. Yes.
Let me tell you something. That shit was a 10 out of 10. Even though I can't remember the name, that shit was a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, like we already mentioned Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That was a good one. That's a 10. That's a 10 out of 10. There's just so many. Restaurant in Another World. That was a very interesting one because it was a restaurant that would pop up like once in a blue moon, and a traveler would know about it because they'd see the door, they'd go in, they'd get an amazing meal, and it's like one of those really good food anime, but it has like the adventures of that person and how they got to, and their problems that led them into that restaurant.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure it's called Restaurant to Another World.
Another good anime that starts off and had not a single fight scene in it.
Yes, it is. Restaurant to Another World. A certain restaurant in the first basement level of a multi-tenant building in one corner of a shopping street near the office district. The historical restaurant marked with a sign and picture of a cat. It's called the Western Cuisine Nokia. I don't know. I can't say a lot of Japanese names. But that one I would give very high marks to. And that one has 2 seasons.
Okay.
Which is really good. But yeah, they have that fantasy element with this amazing chef who just pops into different worlds and has, it's a really good one that goes through there. Handyman Saito in Another World. It's a guy who's a handyman in another world. There's a wizard who constantly forgets things, so he helps him with his spells. There's a female knight who takes care of her armor upkeep. A fairy, that's an interesting, quirky one. I'd call that one probably a 3-star. To where Delicious in Dungeon on Netflix, that's a 5-star.
Now, did you watch Blue Eye Samurai on Netflix?
I did. That is one that. It had got a lot of good things about it.
Scratch the animation on it.
I wasn't a huge fan of that animation style, I will say.
Me neither. And I refused to watch it. Right.
I did watch it. It was, it was good enough story-wise, but it wasn't, I wouldn't say like, oh my God, this is amazing. It was samurai anime, not to shit on them, but there's a lot, and there are a lot of amazing ones.
I thought it was a 10 out of 10.
I mean, Blue-Eyed Samurai, I wouldn't give it minus much marks, but I would call that a solid 4. You know, it had a lot of good stuff, but I wouldn't call it amazing, because when you look at a lot of any samurai anime, there's a lot of really great ones. That's a hard market, to where when you look at something like the Reincarnation's big, the gaming animes are big, harems are always big.
Right. I liked it because I liked it because it took me away from the animation style.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I felt like the story was so good, I stopped caring about how it was animated, and when I was more worried about what was happening.
Yeah. That's a great point.
That's why I give it a 10 out of 10, because again, those type of animation show, I can't say, I cannot. It's just too much CGI.
Yeah.
Then it's never done right. It's always overdone, and it looks choppy, and CGI to me in anime just does not look good. But they did such a good job with the story in this one, and it just took me completely away from the anime style.
Well, yeah. I mean, it takes a bit for, if you use it well enough, like Knights and Magic. That was one where it was like a mech, so they're all CGI. You know, you have your hand-drawn stuff, which is the people going around, but it's mainly, when you see a mech in there, that is all CGI stuff. And it's clunky. It's not as bad as like Beast Wars back in the day, but it's still not quite there yet.
And let me tell you something. Beast Wars was one of my favorite Transformer shows back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go back and rewatch it and say, "Oh, this shit looks horrible."
Yeah. You're definitely.
And no matter how good it is, you just can't get away from that shitty ass anime style. That shitty ass animation style.
So if we're talking about perfect shows, especially newer ones, have you checked out Shangri-La Frontier?
Yes, awesome.
Love it. So good. So good.
I'm about to start soon.
Oh my God. I can't wait for that. I love it. This guy, he only plays shitty games, and he's used to finding bugs and all this, and he is finally getting on a AAA game, and he is playing unlike anybody else.
And
Jujutsu Kaisen. That's another perfect marks.
Yeah. I was gonna say something about Shangri-La, and it slipped my brain. That's the ADD shit.
The bird mask was the most interesting part about that character, though.
Yo, he ran around with the mask, 2 motherfucking swords, because he made a speed build.
Yeah. Just some jean shorts.
Some jean shorts. And it was funny too, because when he first got into this, they was like, "Oh, we got another newbie running around in his underwear."
Yeah, that was so good. That's where the video game one's done well. Really good. What was the one I was just starting to watch? Bofuri. I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense.
No, I didn't see that one.
It's got 2 seasons, and it's a good video game one, because they also don't forget about the person's life. Like, that's one of the things I really like. Look, I'm not going to give all video game ones good, not even big AAA ones, because if I were to give Sword Art Online, I would even say it'd probably be the same, probably worse for season 2. That's a difficult one, because if you just take it at season 1 and season 2, I would equally rate them probably a 3. If I'm being nice, a 3, because there's a whole like season there that it is useless material.
Yeah, I tried to get into Sword Art and couldn't.
Like the premise, how they get stuck in a new game and they can't quit. Their bodies are in the hospital, and there's all that kind of trauma. That's fine, but then as soon as the main thing ends, they have like a whole half season of crap that doesn't matter. It's just like these 2 kids having fun, and virtually fucking everywhere in a fairy world.
Right.
It's ridiculous. That's where, I'd probably go 2.5 if I'm really being strict, because it was not all. It was good. It was There were parts that were really good and I enjoyed, but that's where not everything's going to have those perfect marks.
It's not a video game one. But I started watching The Eminence in Shadow.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh my God, this show is good.
Okay. Because I got one that I love that I'm not, it's not done yet, but it's a great one. But Eminence and Shadow, I'd have to look it up on my Crunchyroll to see if I have actually watched it. I watch a lot of anime.
Yeah, and that's funny that you said that too, because I watch a lot of anime, and then people are like, "You seen this?" I'm like, "Nah," and I go home and watch it, be like, "Oh, I seen this."
Yeah, be like, "Oh, I did watch that." But the one I'm watching now that I don't think the season's done yet, but Quality Assurance in Another World. That's a game one to where this guy, they're in these pods, they're beta testing. You know, they're quality assurance, so they're, quality check people, and they have this tablet that lets them go into pretty much God mode, but the developers told them not to. They can't get out, and there's one guy who's still doing his job in quality assurance and sending in bugs and reports.
All right, I'm gonna check this out.
So good. Oh my God. But the other one I was talking about, Bafuri, that one's good because the one girl's like, just make sure you don't play this game too much because you'll start to lose yourself in it. And you see them in gym class, and they're like trying to use their spells in the game, and they're like, boom, they're playing like dodgeball, and they get pinged, and you're like, yeah, see that? And then it's like, hey, you don't want to get grounded, and then our guild leader can't play the game. Like, you gotta do your homework. We got a test tomorrow. There's interesting stuff with the characters that goes into that went into that one, where I'm like, no, that's really good. But then you look at video game adaptations, Nier Automata. That is a great one on Crunchyroll right now.
Okay.
It's just like the storyline in the game, and it's just so good because it's the whole Japanese anime style to where the game was actually really cool and it was very well done. Man, it was an excellent story. I haven't even finished it because the thing was so goddamn massive. But there's so many good animes that people can watch in different kind of realms. Not even just the stuff we were talking about. There's Spice and Wolf, which is just a merchant.
The dramedies.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And she's always like, Uncle Black, you gotta watch it. And I'm like, it's just not my forte. I'm more action, sci-fi. No, shit.
I'll watch a good story to where I watch Spice and Wolf. That's essentially, it's like this merchant essentially kind of marries a fox, the fox spirit of the wheat, and then promises to take her home. But it's told as the fox spirit telling her daughter, who has white hair just like the merchant, weird, telling her a story about a merchant and a fox, and that's going through the story. So where that's like a slice of life kind of dramedy thing, that's something I would watch if it's done right. But then you got Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation. That one is just expertly done.
Yeah, I started watching one that I got into that wasn't. You ever seen The Promised Neverland?
Yeah. Oh my God, is that good?
That shit hurts. That I ain't gonna lie. That anime kind of hurt a little bit. Like,
you get those anime that hit you in the feels, and you're like, ah.
Yeah, that shit. You're watching, you're like, oh no.
That infamous point in My Hero Academia. We both mentioned before in phone calls. Can I still be a hero too, Mom? And he's watching the All Might thing after they've been to the doctor and found out he's quirkless. You're like, yes, you can be a hero.
Like, you're sitting there talking about something.
Mom's like, no, you can't. And you're like, wow, Jesus.
And I'm sitting there like, you can be anything you want to be, man.
You can do it, Deku. You can do it. And Mom's like, I'm so sorry, sweetie. No, you can't.
Matt's over there like, you quirkless bitch.
I'm just like, oh my God, you can do it.
You fucking being.
The mom was just so fucking brutal.
Yeah, that is. Man, listen, let me tell y'all something. Anybody out there who is thinking about getting into anime and don't know what to do, just start something. Start something and see how you feel about it.
Look, if you
Because my mom never watched a day of anime in her life. Never a day in her life. I introduced her to Death Note.
Oh man, that's such a good one.
Fell in love.
Mm-hmm. Big Brother.
She loved it so much. She was watching it in Japanese with the subtitles with me when they were releasing on Simulcast.
Wow.
Yep.
See, I showed Big Brother Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and he's like, "All right, that's a good one. That's a good one."
Right,
like, dude. That talk about moments that to where you well up. Mustang at Hughes's funeral, and he's like, "Oh, it's a shame that it's raining today." And you're like, "Goddamn weather storm out there, man."
And look, and when I introduced Death
Note
to my mom, I had already watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've already seen it.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably been a third time watching it when I showed it to her.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell her like it's just going to end on you. Like I didn't let her know. Like,
oh wow, yeah, no.
I was like, I don't want her to be discouraged from watching it because you already know it's not going to be no more. Like it's such a good anime, like you got to give it a go. But when it ended, she looked at me and was like, "When's the new season coming out?" And I was like, "Never, never."
Yeah, like Dead Man Wonderland. I'm like, "Oh, this is great." And my buddy's like, "Yeah, no, it's great. Guess what? It also happened like 8 years ago. It's not. That's it. It's not happening. Like that's everybody has their first. We're like, holy crap! I can't wait for the next season. And you look and see when it was released, and you're like, oh, that's just not happening.
Yeah, it's just.
But that's also what I was thinking. We did get some wins in that kind of column because Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood War, or 100-Year Blood War. It's one.
You're right. 1,000-Year Blood War. And let me tell you something. It just came out, season 3 today.
Oh, it did? Oh, I gotta log in. I gotta watch that. I love Bleach. Bleach is one of my favorites, but Bleach is the only one that really tops Bleach for me. And none of my choices are ever going to be Dragon Ball when I'm talking about my favorites. It was an influential one that got me into anime. I'm not shitting on it, but there are so many other better ones because the number one that I can say right now, it got a horrible live-action adaptation, but I just have to say this one little phrase. 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Cowboy Bebop, man. You can't tell me. I can watch Cowboy Bebop right now. Just watch the whole season, the whole series again. And movies, just watch it right now. Subtitles, live action, your dub, not live action. Don't watch that.
So other than Dragon Ball Z, what was your actual first anime that got into anime?
That got me really into anime. One of the first ones, because I started watching it and I was like, oh man, this is great. But I only later came through to do the gauntlet of these two of these, and one is not done yet, and it's One Piece. But
okay,
I got up to like 850 something episodes, and I'm like, all right, tapping out, coach, tapping out. Jesus Christ! But the one I did really love was Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. Now there are a lot of filler episodes. It's not perfect marks, but when you get into Shippuden, the like end battles and stuff, especially because they had those Ultimate Ninja Jump games that went through. So Moy and myself, we would play all these Ninja Jump games and essentially just learning the story of Naruto. So I was like, fucking go through and deep dive that. That's one of the older ones, but I had a guy when I was working before that, I was working with, he gave me Akira. And I watched Akira, and I was like, this is fantastic. He's like, you like anime? Because I would just kind of watch whatever, they could find on the websites of the free websites, and, eventually then go into Funimation, and then now over to Crunchyroll, and, all the ones that are out there. But, looking back, it's like Full Metal Alchemist. It's all the older ones that I've been mentioning, especially, you look at My Hero Academia, Black Clover, all those ones. Like Black Clover wasn't ever really popular, but I loved that anime because the main protagonist was the one person in this world that did not and could not wield magic until he got the 5-leaf clover grimoire, which was anti-magic. And he becomes the most powerful person in that world, when all he could do before that was just train his physical body. So that's the one to where you get those characters like him, like Asta in that show, like Deku in My Hero Academia. Those characters that are like the underdogs are always attractive, but then you get those ones like Kengan Ashura and Baki, to where you watch these fight scenes and you're like, this is amazing. A lot of CGI, but they still keep it anime style. To where, if you're looking for a good fight anime, I'd recommend either of those, Kengan or Baki. I think those are both solid shows.
Our first anime was the original movie Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, man. Yeah, I did go back, and I went back, and see, that's the thing. When I really got into anime, my old podcast partner and I, we had a show called Anime Club, and we would go through, and, I mean, Black Butler, Blue Exorcist, there's a whole bunch of them. I'm forgetting the one that's, like, really... Tokyo Ghoul.
Yeah. Tokyo Ghoul Re.
Yes. Like those shows, you're like, oh my God. Like Van Helsing, the anime, not the movie. Blue Exorcist coming back out with a new season recently was awesome. And then there was another, Hunter x Hunter. I went through a little while ago. I went through Hunter x Hunter as much as I could, or hiatus x hiatus. But that was a good one. And Soul Eater. That was one of the ones that I did Anime Club on, and that was, I'd say, one of the first ones to where I was like, yo, when's the next season? He's like,
that's it. Yo, that's it. That's all you get.
You feel that? That's what the sports fans feel when their teams lose. They're like,
mine was another one that did that for me too was Parasite the Maxima.
Oh my God, I love that one. Mob Psycho 100.
Yeah, but that one came back out. There's another season.
Yeah, there's another season that came out, I think, at beginning of this year, I think it came out.
Yeah. But Parasite, they just stopped. It's done.
Oh, they're done that one.
Yeah, I don't think it's coming back out.
Yeah. See,
I think
was a good one.
I think Parasite came out in 2016.
Okay.
The original one came out in 2016, I think. Yeah, I don't think there's another one. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
I don't believe so.
Parasite the Maxim. One's 2014. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
2014. Yup. Gee.
You know what? There's one that we haven't actually talked about that was really good. Two of them that I see here we didn't talk about, which is Demon Slayer and then Vinland Saga.
Demon Slayer's fire.
Oh, my God. Even that first episode where it's just he's in the woods, goes to get, hey, I'll be back. I'm going to town, helps everybody out, comes back, entire family's murdered. That's it. They're dead. And then he gets attacked by a vampire. And you're like, what? And it just so happens that vampire's his sister. Dun, dun, dun. But that's a really good one, especially because it's still playing off of that samurai kind of stuff with swordplay and a little bit of the magic in there. Vinland Saga is just so good. That's one that it really makes it makes a difference to anime, because I even watched a little bit of the subtitled on that one, because there's sometimes like Dr. Stone, I did that too as well, to where if there's a new episode out, I'm going to watch the sub. I need to know what is happening in the story now.
Right.
Because sometimes those dubs take a while, and they wait until like the end of the season. And they're like, all right, here you go.
Yeah, but guess what you wouldn't have to wait for if you didn't watch it in dubbed?
The ultimate the ultimate thing, you know. But if it is good enough, I will go to the sub realm of your people, the subtitles.
Listen, I'm subbed all the way. I'm subbed all the way, and I'm subbed so much.
I'll tell you one that I actually did watch sub besides Vineland Saga and Jobless Reincarnation. Rise of Shield Hero. I think it was like the first or second season. I was like, oh, you only have subtitles? Well, I need this.
I need to know what's going on.
My Hero Academia, I would go through subs on that too. Be like, well, guess what we're watching now, bud?
Yeah, and my biggest
same thing
with dub shows is not. You know, I hate when people are like, "Oh, you watch anime and dub. You're not a real anime watcher." Nah, whatever. You sound stupid. But my personal thing with dub is, I personally just don't feel when they dub the voices over, they don't get the emotion correct.
Well, yeah, no, that is
like
some credence.
When they dub it over, the emotion is very. Now, don't get me wrong; it's very exaggerated.
But it's also because Japanese people have more words than us.
Right.
So you try to translate it, but it's not, it doesn't really mean that. So then you have to change the whole thing, and then they have the original translation in the subtitles.
When they call somebody idiot, they be like baka, but depending on how they say it, it could mean asshole, motherfucker, idiot. Like it can mean so many different things depending on the tone in which they say it in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what does it for me.
Okay, because that does matter as well. That does matter. I mean, because that's the one thing I do. I look at, and especially like with I have the subtitles on, so I'll read what the actual translation is, and then I'll hear what they said and be like, yeah, but it was actually kind of
right. Yeah.
So I will, compare that way to be like, you know what? Actually, this way, even the translated version, before you messed with it in the voice acting side, it's kind of better.
Right.
But I get it. It's changed for American audiences to do a lot of stuff to that to make it more appeasing to everybody. But that's where you get an anime like we were talking about today, Dead. And it was an adult sci-fi anime that pulled off of a lot of tropes of stories that we've already seen.
And I watched it dubbed. And honestly, because I never heard it in Japanese, the voice acting wasn't bad for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was one of those shows. I started watching it in subtitle. I started watching this sub. And I was like, oh, there's a lot going on. I got to pay attention to what's happening on the fucking screen.
Yes.
So I went back and swapped it over to English so I could pay attention and watch the show.
Yes.
There's so much going on. You look down. I swear to God, you look down to read a sentence and look back up and be like, well, how the fuck they get here?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I've rewound that one way too many times. We were like, hang on. Where did we get here?
So
there is that. Yeah.
Especially if you get to that part where they go back and you see that alternate universe where Kadode kind of starts to, like Matt was saying, like a nut. He kind of starts to go off the deep end. There's a lot going on in them scenes that if you're reading the subtitles, you're going to miss a lot of information.
Oh, yeah. There's different people that are interacted with later on in the beginning. That's the beauty about it, is that there's so much going on that you can pull from. Oh my God, that's the person from this point. There's a lot of those moments in that they play off it really well. So that's where, even a 3.5 still is a good show. You look at some shows to where, it really wasn't done right. It could have been better. That's the kind of stuff to where I'd like to see a horrible anime that would make us both go like, that was trash.
Don't forget, y'all, too. Y'all can also let us know down in the comments what anime y'all would like us to critique and watch. Also, what your favorite anime is and what anime got you hooked on watching anime. What was the first anime somebody put on for you where you accidentally stumbled across that you said, you know what? I'm into this.
Because it was definitely one of the first anime clubs I did with John that I would say, oh yeah, I'll definitely watch this. But it wasn't until I actually started watching those seasons I said I would watch that I was like, oh my God, this was really good. I gave this good marks. Huh. Wow. I was so right about this.
Let me tell you another reason I like anime on some real shit. Because them motherfuckers don't need a reason to be mad at you. If some oversteps their boundary one bit, it is a full-on fight. Like,
unforgivable.
And they talk about resolve a lot in anime. My resolve, Now,
yeah.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you why Chainsaw Man was probably one of my favorite episodes. A, the animated fight scenes are just top tier. The fight scenes are top tier.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But B, the reason for this man living was to get laid. That was it.
His deepest
that was
desire.
There was no other anything behind it. He just wanted to get laid.
Yeah. I'm not tired.
That was it. And he was willing to do what he had to do to get laid. Like,
yeah, that was the
he was like fighting the bat. He said, "Oh no, I'm not dying here. I ain't even seen the titty yet."
Oh my god. Yeah. That's the perviness that comes out in some of the Japanese that it's just fucking stellar.
He's like, man, I ain't even seen a tit yet. I'm not even, no, there's no way. She promised me if I wanted that I was get to see her. But you are not taking that from me. Right. You are not taking that from me. And I'd be damned if I leave this earth before seeing a tit. Like,
there was one I saw on Netflix that was around that same line. He got into a contract with a genie. And he's like, now tell me your ultimate wish. Oh, Buffugiri. And it was a fighting one, but he was just like, I don't want to die a virgin. And that's how he would power up to like Super Saiyan level. And the Jinn would be like, yes, tell me your ultimate wish. And he'd be like, wait a second. That's what you unlock the power for? And he's like, yeah, don't want to die a virgin.
And that's why I love, and that's the thing, and that's why I love anime, because it don't take much for the motherfuckers to be wanting to be the strongest in the world.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, it doesn't. My father will finally appreciate me.
It do not take much.
I won't. But that's why you're a villain, huh?
You said green tea mochi was horrible? Put your fucking hands up.
Taking this outside right now.
Put your hands up. See me out in these streets. And that's all it takes, man. Like, that's all it takes. And America, we gotta build up a reason why they don't like them, and there's got to be some astronomical reason. Like, I ain't seen the tit yet. I'm not.
It's He said he hadn't seen the tit yet, and I said you're not gonna see one today. But then he beat me. Like,
he beat me, and he saw them tits. Like,
yeah, that's it. That's the villain side. He's just like, at least the guy saw a tit, though. Good for him.
It's just, I don't know, just something about anime, man.
It's different. It's a lot like the stuff I see in the indie comic market. You're getting something that, it's going to be a premise that you're not going to get out of the mainstream shows. You're going to see a main protagonist who saves everybody because he doesn't want to die a virgin.
And I mean, and
see that titty.
Let me tell you something. It'll be the best fucking fight scenes you ever see.
Oh yeah, he instantly becomes like a Bruce Lee martial artist and knocks him back into the next county with one punch.
Like Mob Psycho.
Yeah.
The hero they have for that. I mean, the protagonist that he used for that. I mean, you look at this dude and you're like, no pissant.
Yeah.
And he just explodes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fatima in fucking One Punch Man.
Yep.
One of the strongest fucking characters. Like, people battle to this day, like, who will win in the fight, Satima or Satima? Like,
that's the thing, though. I mean, when you look at One Punch Man, that's one of those anime that my buddy started watching when it came out subbed, and he was just like, I know you don't watch sub, but you need to watch this one. And I started watching One Punch Man subtitled, and that was when I was like, he was right. This thing is awesome. Because he just wanted to make it home for the coupon at the grocery store. That's why he blew a hole through a mountain. A whole mountain. There's a hole. You make a tunnel there. How? Sight him.
My man just wanted to live life normally.
But then he had the wrong day. The coupon was already expired.
He just happened to be strong as shit. Listen, they got a 2-for-1 special going on dumplings over there, and you're in my way. Get the fuck out of my way.
You know what I mean? That was for yesterday. No. Oh my God. That's not something you're going to see. You get those quirky, weird characters out of a lot of really good anime. And that's where I think a lot of people are really going to see a lot more great content, that it's going to surprise you how good it is. Because some people, even today, they're just like, oh, I don't watch anything animated.
Anime has so many genres like we have in our movies. They have horror, they have sci-fi, they have fiction, they have detective work, they have fucking romance comedies, they have dramedies, they got dramas, they have comedies. Like, no matter what you're into, trust me, there's an anime out there for you.
Oh yeah.
Like, my buddy keep trying to get me to watch the House Husband anime.
Oh yeah, I watched that one.
And he's like, bro, it's phenomenal. He's like, just
phenomenal. Yeah. It's really good. I'm not gonna lie, it is really fucking
no,
good.
and the truth is, you're not the first person that told me that. Like, yo, like it's great. It's just watch it. It's amazing.
Because he used to work for the mob, for the mafia.
And now he's home.
And now he's home, and he's a house husband. It's so fucking good.
And it carries over still some of his mob shit that he has to work into his everyday life. Like, that's a great show, because if that was a sitcom on TV, everybody would be watching it.
Oh my god, yeah. It is. It's so good.
You know, like, everybody would be watching it. So there's something out there for everyone.
Really
anime.
Yeah. That's the overall message I think we should end off on, because we will be continuing to do the Eminem podcast, and we'll let you guys know what show we're going to be doing, because maybe it's going to be somebody who puts something in the comments here and we say, you know what, absolutely, we didn't even mention briefly talk about this. This is our next topic. So we'll see what you guys comment in the comment below and let us know which anime we should talk about next. So until then, we love you, we miss you, and we want to see you then. Game on, boys and girls. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.